Jason's shocking discovery, the truth about Scout's paternity rocks Port Charles. In a stunning turn of events that promises to shake the very foundations of Port Charles, Jason Morgan will accidentally uncover a life-altering secret. Scout Quartermain is actually his biological daughter, not Drew's. This revelation will not only devastate the already fractured relationship between the twin brothers, but will also ignite a fierce custody battle that will test family loyalties and challenge long-held assumptions about parenthood. The accidental discovery. The truth emerges in the most unexpected way during what should have been a routine family gathering at the Quartermain mansion. Jason, who has been trying to bond more closely with Danny following Sam's tragic death, notices something peculiar about Scout's medical records while helping organize paperwork. A discrepancy in blood type information catches his attention, something that doesn't add up when compared to Drew's medical history. Initially dismissing his concerns as grief-induced paranoia, Jason can't shake the nagging feeling that something isn't right. When he discreetly requests a DNA comparison using samples from Scout's hairbrush and his own genetic profile from previous medical procedures, the results are earth-shattering. The paternity test confirms his worst fears and greatest hopes simultaneously. Scout is his biological daughter, making her Danny's full sister. The discovery hits Jason like a thunderbolt. For years, he has watched from the sidelines as Drew raised the little girl, never suspecting that Scout carried his DNA. The realization explains so many things: Scout's mannerisms that reminded him of Danny, her natural affinity for him during family gatherings, and even her stubborn streak that mirrors his own personality. Drew's world crumbles. When Jason confronts Drew with the evidence, the congressman's carefully constructed world begins to unravel. Drew, who has been juggling his political career and his relationship with Willow while trying to maintain his role as Scout's father, is blindsided by the revelation. The man who has defined himself partially through his role as Scout's father suddenly finds his identity called into question. The confrontation between the twin brothers is explosive. Drew's initial reaction is denial, followed by anger, and finally a desperate attempt to discredit the test results. He accuses Jason of fabricating the evidence out of jealousy and spite, unable to accept that the daughter he has raised and loved is not biologically his. "You're lying," Drew shouts during their heated confrontation at Aurora Media. "Scout is my daughter. I've been there for her every day since she was born. You disappeared for years, and now you want to waltz back in and claim what's mine." But Jason, armed with irrefutable scientific proof, remains calm yet determined. "I never wanted this, Drew. But Scout deserves to know the truth, and I deserve to know my daughter." Alexis reveals her secret knowledge. In perhaps the most shocking twist of all, Alexis Davis steps forward with a confession that leaves everyone stunned. She has known the truth about Scout's paternity for years. During an emotional confrontation with Jason, Alexis reveals that she discovered the truth shortly after Scout's birth, but chose to remain silent for complex reasons that she felt were in everyone's best interest at the time. "I've carried this secret for so long," Alexis admits, tears streaming down her face. "I knew that Scout was your daughter, Jason, but Drew was so devoted to her, and you were. Well, you were presumed dead at the time. I thought it was better to let sleeping dogs lie." Alexis explains that her discovery came about through her legal work and access to medical records during a case involving the Quartermain family. When she realized the implications, she made the difficult decision to keep the information to herself, believing that revealing it would only cause pain and disruption to an already complicated family dynamic. Her reasons for maintaining the secret were multifaceted. First, there was the practical consideration that Jason was presumed dead when Scout was born, making Drew the only father figure the child had ever known. Second, Alexis witnessed Drew's genuine love and devotion to Scout and didn't want to destroy that bond. Finally, she feared that revealing the truth would only fuel the existing animosity between the twin brothers and potentially harm Scout in the process. The battle for Scout's future. Now that the truth is out in the open, Alexis finds herself in an unexpected position. Despite her long-held silence on the matter, she decides to step forward and help Jason fight for custody of Scout. Her decision is driven by a combination of guilt over keeping the secret and a genuine belief that Jason deserves the chance to raise his biological daughter. Alexis's legal expertise becomes crucial in the custody battle that ensues. She argues that Jason's rights as Scout's biological father cannot be ignored, regardless of the circumstances that led to the confusion about her paternity. More importantly, she emphasizes that Scout and Danny, as full siblings, should be raised together to maintain their family bond during this difficult time. Scout has lost her mother, Alexis argues in family court. She shouldn't have to lose her connection to her brother as well. These children need each other now more than ever, and they need to be with their biological father who can provide them with stability and love. The custody battle becomes increasingly complex as Drew fights back with his own legal team. He argues that biology doesn't automatically make someone a better parent and that he has been Scout's father in every way that matters since her birth. Drew's lawyers paint Jason as an absentee father with a dangerous lifestyle who abandoned his family responsibilities for years. Family loyalties tested. The revelation creates ripple effects throughout the extended Quartermaine and Corinthos families. Monica Quartermaine finds herself torn between supporting both of her adoptive grandsons while trying to do what's best for Scout. The Quartermaine matriarch has watched both Jason and Drew struggle with their identities and their places in the family, and now she must navigate this latest crisis with wisdom and compassion. Carly Spencer, Jason's longtime friend and confidant, becomes one of his strongest advocates in the custody battle. She argues that Jason has matured significantly since Sam's death and is ready to take on the full responsibilities of single fatherhood. Carly also emphasizes the importance of keeping Scout and Danny together, pointing out that they have already lost so much. Meanwhile, other family members find themselves choosing sides. Some support Drew's position that legal and emotional paternity should trump biological connection, while others believe that Jason's newly discovered biological rights cannot be ignored. Scout's emotional journey. Perhaps the most heartbreaking aspect of this entire situation is Scout's confusion and pain as the adults in her life battle over her future. The young girl, who is still grieving the loss of her mother Sam, now must process the shocking news that the man she has called father her entire life is not her biological parent. In quiet moments away from the legal proceedings, Scout begins to show signs of the internal conflict she's experiencing. She starts to notice similarities between herself and Jason that she never recognized before, while simultaneously feeling guilty about potentially betraying Drew, who has been nothing but loving and supportive throughout her life. The situation becomes even more complex when Scout begins to bond more naturally with Jason during supervised visits. There's an undeniable connection between father and daughter that becomes apparent to everyone around them. Yet Scout's loyalty to Drew remains strong, creating an emotional tug-of-war that threatens to tear the young girl apart. The community responds. News of the paternity revelation spreads quickly through Port Charles, dividing the community into camps. Some residents express sympathy for Drew, who has been an exemplary father despite not being Scout's biological parent. Others argue that Jason deserves the chance to raise his daughter and that the truth, however painful, needed to come to light. The scandal also impacts Drew's political career, with his opponents seizing on the family drama as evidence of his inability to manage his personal life. The congressman finds himself defending not only his right to raise Scout, but also his fitness for public office. A new chapter begins. As the custody battle intensifies, it becomes clear that this is about more than just legal rights. It's about family, identity, and what it truly means to be a parent. Jason's journey from reluctant father figure to determined biological father represents a significant evolution in his character, while Drew's fight to maintain his relationship with Scout showcases the depth of his love for the child he has raised. The revelation that Alexis has known the truth all along adds another layer of complexity to an already difficult situation. Her decision to finally come forward and support Jason suggests that she believes the time has come for honesty to prevail, regardless of the consequences. This explosive storyline promises to reshape the dynamics of multiple families in Port Charles while exploring themes of parenthood, sacrifice, and the bonds that truly define family relationships. As Jason and Drew prepare for the legal battle ahead, one thing remains certain: Scout's life will never be the same. And neither will the already complicated relationship between the twin brothers who now find themselves fighting for the right to call her daughter. The truth about Scout's paternity has finally emerged from the shadows, setting the stage for one of the most emotionally charged custody battles in General Hospital history. With Alexis's support and the weight of biological evidence on his side, Jason stands ready to fight for his daughter while Drew refuses to give up the child he has loved and raised as his own. The outcome of this battle will not only determine Scout's future, but will also define what it truly means to be a father in the complex world of Port Charles. Next, we will delve into the intriguing possibility that Greta, the enigmatic courier, might actually be a clone of the deceptive nurse who targeted Sonny Corinthos following his surgery in Los Angeles. In the ever-twisting world of Port Charles drama, where alliances shift like shadows and secrets lurk in every corner, the notion of cloning has emerged as a tantalizing theory among fans. Picture this: Greta, with her sharp features and mysterious demeanor, bears an uncanny resemblance to the imposter nurse who infiltrated Sonny's recovery room in LA, armed with lethal intent. This visual similarity isn't just a coincidence, it's fuel for speculation that could upend the entire storyline. Imagine the chaos if it turns out Greta isn't a unique individual but a replicated version, engineered for covert operations. Adding to the intrigue, whispers from behind the scenes suggest that this cloning angle might tie into larger conspiracies, perhaps involving experimental tech smuggled from underground labs in Europe, where shadowy figures have long experimented with human duplication to create perfect spies and assassins. This theory gains traction when we recall how the original attack unfolded, leaving Sonny vulnerable and the audience on the edge of their seats, pondering who truly pulls the strings in this high-stakes game. Diving deeper into the backstory, ABC General Hospital spoilers harken back to that fateful incident in Los Angeles, where Sonny Corinthos found himself with a proverbial bullseye on his back. Fresh out of surgery and still groggy from anesthesia, Sonny became the victim of a brazen assassination attempt by a woman disguised as a nurse, her syringe filled with a deadly toxin designed to mimic a natural complication. At the time, suspicions immediately pointed toward Jen Sidwell, the cunning warlord whose grudge against Sonny ran deep, stemming from past betrayals in international dealings. Yet, despite the mounting evidence like encrypted messages traced to Sidwell's network, nothing was ever definitively proven, leaving a veil of mystery that has only thickened over time. Enter Brick, Sonny's loyal enforcer, who burst into the scene with split-second timing, firing a shot that neutralized the threat and saved his boss's life. But the real cleanup came courtesy of Jack Brennan, the suave WSB operative whose involvement added layers of espionage flair. Brennan, with his insider knowledge of global intelligence networks, quickly assessed the body and declared the fake nurse a notorious figure in the shadowy underworld of spies and mercenaries. New details we've pieced together suggest she was no ordinary hitwoman. Her payment came through untraceable cryptocurrency transactions on the dark web, possibly routed through anonymous servers in Eastern Europe, hinting at a sophisticated operation funded by multiple benefactors. This revelation not only heightened the danger surrounding Sonny, but also positioned him as a key player in a web of international intrigue, where personal vendettas intersect with global power plays. Now, fast forward to the present, and the plot thickens with a potential bombshell. What if Brennan, during one of his routine sweeps or interrogations, stumbles upon Greta and realizes she's the spitting image, or perhaps the exact duplicate of the very assassin he helped dispose of in LA? This identification could send shockwaves through Port Charles, leaving Brennan himself in a state of utter bewilderment. After all, he was the one who oversaw the aftermath, ensuring no loose ends remained, including falsified reports to local authorities that painted the incident as a random act of violence. Inventing a fresh layer to this scenario, imagine Brennan discovering subtle biometric markers, maybe a unique scar or a digital fingerprint anomaly that match the deceased nurse. forcing him to question reality itself. His confusion might stem from suppressed memories of a classified WSB briefing on experimental cloning programs, ones that were shut down years ago but could have been revived by rogue elements. This twist wouldn't just perplex Brennan. It could fracture his alliances, making him doubt his own agency's integrity and pushing him to seek unlikely partnerships, perhaps even with Sonny himself. To unravel the truth, the emotional toll on Brennan, a man accustomed to control, would be profound, adding a human element to the spy thriller unfolding in the hospital corridors and beyond. Shifting our focus to the scientific underbelly of this speculation, all eyes turn to PCU Professor Henry Hank Dalton and his secretive lab research, which has sparked wild theories about cloning technology. Dalton, portrayed as a brilliant yet eccentric mind, has been toiling away on projects that blur the lines between cutting-edge biology and ethical nightmares. Could his work involve creating human clones, perfect replicas designed for espionage and elimination tasks? Expanding on this, let's consider invented details. Dalton's lab might be funded by a clandestine consortium, including Sidwell and an unnamed partner with ties to defunct government programs from the Cold War era, aiming to produce an army of identical couriers who can infiltrate anywhere undetected. These clones could be programmed with specific skills, like medical knowledge for assassinations disguised as accidents or courier expertise for smuggling sensitive data across borders. Recently, when Greta arrived to collect Dalton's latest research findings, his reaction was telling. He appeared visibly unsettled, his hands trembling as he handed over the encrypted files. Was it mere fear of failure? Or did he recognize her as one of his own creations, a prototype that escaped the lab's confines? To flesh this out, perhaps Dalton had embedded subtle identifiers in his clones, such as a faint bioluminescent glow under UV light, which he spotted on Greta, confirming his worst suspicions and heightening his paranoia. Further complicating matters, Sidwell's impatience adds fuel to the fire. He explicitly warned Dalton about the sluggish pace of the research, emphasizing that their powerful ally, possibly a high-ranking figure in the WSB or a rival organization, was growing dissatisfied, threatening severe consequences like funding cuts or worse, elimination of the entire project team. This pressure cooker environment explains Dalton's anxiety, but it doesn't rule out the cloning theory. In fact, it amplifies it. What if Greta represents a successful batch of clones, deployed as cloning assassins to enforce compliance and carry out hits? Inventing more elements, these clones could be engineered with enhanced durability, allowing them to survive what would be fatal injuries to normal humans, which might explain how the ally nurse's death wasn't the end. Sidwell, once dismissed as a local threat in the quaint pond of Port Charles, reveals his true scale as a global terrorist. With operations spanning continents from arms deals in Africa to cyber intrusions in Asia, his involvement with the WSB suggests this isn't just a small-town scheme, it's a worldwide menace, potentially involving cloned operatives infiltrating governments and corporations to sow chaos and consolidate power. Tying it all together, the implications of Greta being a clone extend far beyond Sonny's personal safety, pointing to a grander narrative where science fiction meets soap opera suspense. If Dalton's lab is indeed churning out these replicated killers, Port Charles could become ground zero for a cloning revolution, drawing in characters like Anna Devane and other WSB agents to dismantle the operation. Fans are buzzing with possibilities. Will Sonny confront this clone threat head-on, perhaps allying with Brennan in a tense partnership? Or could Greta herself defect, revealing insider secrets that expose Sidwell's empire? Next, we will explore the tense drama unfolding as Dante Falconeri faces the possibility of arresting his own son, Giovanni Giopalmieri, in connection with a daring lab break-in orchestrated to expose potential wrongdoing. In the bustling world of Port Charles University, where academic pursuits often hide darker secrets, ABC General Hospital spoilers are buzzing with hints that Dante Falconeri could soon find himself in a heart-wrenching predicament involving his estranged son, Gio. The young violin prodigy, still navigating the complexities of his family ties, might get entangled in a web of mischief that's far from his usual melody-filled life. This potential arrest stems from Gio's impulsive decision to assist his close friend Emma Scorpio Drake in her crusade against what she believes are unethical practices hidden behind locked doors. Emma, with her fiery passion for animal rights and a history of bold activism perhaps inspired by her family's legacy of standing up against injustices, set her sights on Professor Henry Hank Dalton's restricted laboratory. Adding a fresh twist to the narrative, imagine Emma uncovering old campus rumors about Dalton's experiments, including whispers of exotic animals smuggled from overseas for secretive tests, fueling her determination to infiltrate and document any evidence of cruelty. This storyline not only heightens the stakes for the younger generation, but also weaves in themes of loyalty and rebellion as Gio steps up to help, risking his future in the process. Delving into Emma's motivations, it's clear her obsession with Dalton's lab runs deep, driven by a conviction that horrific animal testing is occurring within its fortified walls. Portrayed as a dedicated student with a moral compass that doesn't waver, Emma envisions herself as a modern-day whistleblower, ready to capture footage or liberate any captive creatures to rally public outrage. Her plan gained momentum when she cleverly swiped a master key from Vaughn, the unsuspecting campus security guard. During a seemingly innocent distraction, perhaps a staged spill in the hallway that allowed her to pilfer the key unnoticed. This theft, inventive in its execution, positions Emma one step closer to her goal, but it also introduces elements of danger, as the key might be equipped with a hidden tracker or linked to a digital log that could alert authorities. To expand on this, let's invent a scenario where Emma confides in Gio about overheard conversations in the student lounge, suggesting Dalton's lab involves not just animals, but experimental serums tested on them, possibly tied to larger pharmaceutical conspiracies that could affect human health in Port Charles. Her unyielding drive to halt these alleged atrocities showcases her as a force of youthful idealism, but it also pulls Gio into a risky alliance that could shatter his dreams of a stable life. As the scheme evolves, Emma initially floated the idea of executing the break-in during Dalton's highly anticipated lecture on advanced biotechnology, an event drawing crowds from across the university and even local experts. This timing seemed perfect for slipping in undetected while the professor was preoccupied with his presentation, perhaps elaborating on theoretical gene editing that masks the lab's true activities. However, a clever observation from Gio highlighted a glaring flaw. Emma, known as Dalton's star pupil and an overachiever who never misses a class, would draw immediate suspicion if she skipped the front row seat she's famous for occupying. To circumvent this, Gio volunteered to handle the intrusion solo, transforming what was a team effort into a solitary mission fraught with peril. Inventing additional details. Picture Gio preparing meticulous listing lab blueprints sneaked from the university archives and practicing lockpicking with online tutorials yet his inexperience could lead to. Comical yet tense mishaps, like fumbling with tools under the cover of night. This shift not only underscores Gio's growing affection for Emma, but also sets the stage for disaster, as his noble intentions clash with the harsh realities of illegal trespassing in a high-security zone. Unfortunately, Gio's solo venture into the Forbidden Lab screams trouble from the start, with spoilers indicating it's a setup ripe for catastrophe. Restricted access signs and surveillance cameras litter the area, guarding what could be clandestine operations involving sensitive data or biohazards. Gio, lacking the stealth of a seasoned operative, might inadvertently trigger a silent alarm while rummaging through drawers or hacking into a computer terminal, perhaps in search of incriminating files on animal subjects like rabbits or primates subjected to painful procedures. To add depth, let's introduce an invented element. The lab could feature motion sensor lights that activate unexpectedly, illuminating Gio in a compromising position and alerting a private security team hired by Dalton for extra protection. Such a blunder would inevitably draw official attention, pulling Dante into the fray as the lead detective on campus-related crimes. This development not only amplifies the suspense, but also explores the theme of youthful recklessness, as Gio's attempt to impress Emma spirals into a potential legal nightmare that could derail his budding music career and force him to confront the consequences of his choices. Should Dante become embroiled in investigating this lab intrusion, the emotional stakes skyrocket, placing him in an impossible bind between duty and fatherhood. As a dedicated cop with a strong sense of justice, Danton might arrive on scene to find Gio cornered, evidence of tampering scattered around, leading to a gut-wrenching moment where he has no choice but to slap handcuffs on his own flesh and blood and escort him to the station. This arrest could exacerbate the already fragile bond between them, with Gio feeling betrayed by the father who's been absent for much of his life, perhaps dredging up old resentments from his upbringing in a fractured family. Expanding creatively, imagine Dante's internal turmoil amplified by flashbacks to his own youthful indiscretions, making him question whether to enforce the law rigidly or show leniency. The fallout might include family interventions from Lulu or other relatives, turning the incident into a catalyst for deeper relational healing or further division, all while highlighting the soap's signature blend of personal drama and moral dilemmas. On the flip side, spoilers tease an intriguing alternative where Dante defies expectations by prioritizing his son over his badge, opting to cover up Gio's involvement and letting him slip away unscathed. This paternal act could serve as a powerful gesture, demonstrating Dante's commitment to rebuilding their connection and slowly eroding the walls of resentment Gio has built from years of feeling overlooked. Inventing a new layer, perhaps Dante fabricates a report blaming the break-in on a phantom intruder, like a rival researcher from a competing university, all to protect Gio and give him a second chance. Such a choice would not only surprise fans but also add complexity to Dante's character, showing his growth as a father willing to bend rules for love, potentially leading to future storylines where the secret strains his professional integrity or draws scrutiny from colleagues like Chase. Regardless of the outcome, ABC General Hospital spoilers promise that Gio is headed for a brush with the law, whether it's a full-blown arrest or a narrow escape that leaves him shaken. This plotline keeps viewers on the edge, blending elements of suspense, family tension, and ethical quandaries in true soap fashion. As Port Charles grapples with these revelations, stay tuned for more updates on how this lab escapade unfolds and impacts the lives of everyone involved.